What is good, everyone, and welcome back to the Nostalgia Soldier podcast. My name is Taylor, aka Nostalgia. Joining me, I'll preface with this. It is the second K and Tay episode.
A Taylor episode. Woo! That's
joining me. Go ahead.
Oh no, that's just our episodes are called Taylor's in my head.
Oh yeah.
And then I don't know what me and Andres would be.
I have no sibling argument. The podcast episode.
Yeah. That's what
the siblings, the twins.
Well,
that's
so excited for a Taylor episode.
Yes, it's amazing. So joining me is Kay Likes Everything. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great, and I love. If you guys don't know this, I love dressing on theme. I love cosplay. So today I'm doing a very light, itty bitty Porco Rosso outfit, which leads us to our topic today.
Yes. So, welcome to part 8 of Miyazaki Magic. Today we're talking about Porco Rosso. I do want to say Zoe is not here with us today, and it sucks because this is the movie that he definitely really wanted to watch.
Yeah.
When we started going down the list of Miyazaki movies, he was like, "Oh yeah, I really want to watch Porco Rosso and talk about it because it looks cool." Yeah. But Zoe, unfortunately, I don't want to put his business on air, but unfortunately, he is not with us today. I just want to say to Zoe, if you are listening, we love you, brother,
very much,
and we can't wait to have you back. And I'm excited to see both you and Kayla in 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks.
Yeah, I think T minus 14 days.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah, it's gonna be really fun. So yeah, we're talking about Porco Rosso today, and I will say that it's very funny. In the lead up to us recording, I posted my Letterboxd review, to which Moviebox Junior over here decided to berate me about my overall rating that I gave it, because I did give it 4 stars, and there is a huge reason I would have given this movie 5 stars. However, there is a huge glaring issue that I have with this movie that Kayla also agrees with me is the problem with this movie that prevented me from giving it 5 stars. And she decided to give it what rating?
I think I gave it 2 stars.
2.5.
Or 2.5? Yeah, 2.5 stars.
Give it a 2.5.
Yeah. People are going to call me a hater, and I swear to God, I'm not. I really liked it. 2.5 out of 5 is half.
It's a 60%, roughly.
Yeah, it's a passing grade. It's just, I know people think this is crazy, but a big weight in my scores for movies is the rewatchability factor. I know it's whack, but because I am a person who will rewatch the same comfort movies and shows until I burn the VCR, I have to count that in for something. And this is one of those movies that I'm not going to be able to watch all the time because of the same problem that Taylor had.
So we will get to that problem at the end. I know, clickbaity moment, Mr. Beast style moment. I understand, right? I understand, right? But I feel like there's a lot of stuff we need to get through. Let's get through the good stuff of this movie first, because
a lot of good
outside of that one thing.
Yeah.
And it's in there a lot. Outside of that one thing. Yeah. This movie is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And so Kayla is outside of that one thing.
Yeah.
What are your initial thoughts on Porco Rosso?
So the first thought I had, which is about your rating, was last week we spoke about The Wind Rises, which was clearly, without any question, a 5.
Yes.
Crazy to me that you would have also rated this a 5 if it had not been for this one thing, because I do think that although Porco Rosso is good, it's not nearly as good as The Wind Rises. But no. I'm not trying to compare, because every movie should be seen as its own entity, so we shouldn't be comparing. I get that. But it is human to compare, and I was just like, The Wind Rises is most definitely a 5. How is this a 4.5? Anyway, so Porco Rosso. The movie is fun. The movie is good. The art is, of course, always gorgeous. Now, I hyperfixated on the main singer lady, and I forgot her name.
Gina,
because she is the same voice actress as Meg from Hercules, Rose from Steven Universe, other people as well. She's done a bunch of different roles, but there is something about that voice actress that she could do anything, and I will automatically love her character. Wow, what a woman. Gorgeous, clearly a killer, because she's had 3 husbands. Unfortunately, they have all died.
They had a curse on her, for real.
Literally, I would have been like, after the 3rd husband, I'd be like, I shouldn't love any more men because I'm bound to kill them. Call me Black Widow. But she's phenomenal. She's a businesswoman. She owns her own giant house and garden. She owns a really cool tavern where all the pirates go. Just like the movie, oh my god, what was it that also had sky pirates that we saw earlier?
Was it Castle in the Sky?
I think it was Castle in the Sky. I love the sky pirates. They are silly, goofy, funny, big men with big mustaches, like very fun, expressive characters. Loved the main guy that Porco Rosso kept trying to fight, the countryman.
Curtis was the American.
Yes, Curtis. He was so like, pick up your dukes. See, like he was so old Hollywood, which is kind of like the theme in the movie. Like he goes back to America, very Casablanca coded, like very Indiana Jones coded too in a way. Very fun character, hard to love him, but even harder to hate him. Like he's just fun. Like I like him around. And then, this movie is another one of those Miyazaki movies that doesn't feel very magical. It doesn't have that main magic feeling that you get from like The Secret World of Arrietty or from Ponyo, where like clear magic is happening in the world. Yeah. But we get that magic element from Porco being a pig, but that he says it's a curse that was put on him. But you wonder as you go by, I mean, obviously it's just a metaphor for how he feels about himself because of things that happened in the war. Yep. But even though there's that magic element, it's very grounded. Like, it's very real for this man to have post-war trauma and unable to see himself as a human anymore because of what he's been through. Which that scene is probably my favorite in the whole movie. Him explaining what happened between him and his friend and how things came to be and how that curse was put on him by the time he landed. So overall, really a great time. Don't come for my throat. Okay, sometimes a character can really hurt a movie for me because I get attached to things. So yeah. What were your feelings?
So I mean, I was waiting for a movie in Miyazaki's discography like this, in the way of like. Granted, it's kind of topical considering what's going on in the world right now. Yeah, but where I was waiting for a movie that was going to be like overtly anti-war. And now, granted, like Castle in the Sky, Castle in the Sky kind of has those sentiments. Yeah, Howl's Moving Castle specifically has a lot of those sentiments. Like it's very like super overtly anti-war. Stated and very anti-war, like in its underlying like B plot. Like it doesn't really shy away from its feelings on that. Yeah. And even The Wind Rises is the same thing because Porco Rosso and The Wind Rises take place in the same time period. Yeah. So like
it's also sprinkled in Ponyo, not the fact that there's like a war going on, but that they're kind of ready for it and that Navy is keeping Sasuke's dad away from the family, which makes it harder to raise a family. So it's all there.
Yeah,
Miyazaki does not like war.
He does not like war, and he is a like a known pacifist, and so
absolutely.
There are a lot of things in this movie, and it's like The Wind Rises was a situation where it's like, okay, well, I'm designing planes for war. I'm not an active participant. Well, technically, you're not an active participant in war,
which is very
right?
The Wind Rises. It's very like, I want to design planes. It's going to get used for war, though, but my heart is to design planes.
Yes. As opposed to somebody like the character Marco or Rosso, Mr. Rosso, who was a captain of a regiment of like planes in World War One, and then essentially like deserted his country to go live on the lam essentially and be a bounty hunter. He was an active participant in World War One. And like the tensions that rose between World War One and World War Two in the 1920s was a big like issue at the time. And so Miyazaki himself, like when I was looking up like some trivia or some fun facts about this movie, basically was just like it's like a movie for him because it fully examines just how much he did not like the fact that World War One happened. And so it kind of segues me into like the common themes that I found in this movie. And you touched on it too with like that one scene in Rosso's, and I'll call him Marco just for the sake of me just like talking, because his real name was Marco like Russellini, because
I put it actually in my Letterboxd review.
His name was Marco Russellini, I think.
Hold on, I think that you're right. I'll just double check. It's it's Marco Pagott.
Pagott? Okay. So,
Pagott.
Yeah, who like that person's based on. But like Marco basically was just like, he basically explains how Gina's third husband died, essentially.
Yeah.
And how when he, in this moment of feeling like he was about to die, like a moment of a near-death experience, he like raises above the clouds and sees all of his comrades ascending into heaven. He sees this like beam up above the clouds that his comrades are going into, and he realizes that in much like a Wind Rises situation, all of those the beam is covered or is made up of planes. Of different countries and different battalions and different people, right? And he's like, and I think the pig curse is more so a metaphor for survivor's guilt.
Yes, absolutely. He says it the whole time. He's like, heroes die, so clearly I'm not a hero. Yes.
The whole him being a cursed as a pig thing is definitely a metaphor for survivor's guilt. And it's cool to see, and you can see it weighs on him, right? He feels as though that the burden of still being alive in all these dogfights and all this this bloodshed and these pilots dying and their ships, their planes being destroyed, that he himself doesn't feel like he needs to be alive, or he himself doesn't feel like a good person because he was somehow able to survive those life and death battles and stuff like that. And so I think it's cool. So while I do think that the magic element is there to an extent, because like if we want it, but I think this is more so than other movies. This is more like the actual pig get up is more of a metaphor than him actually being a pig being cursed, if that makes sense.
Yes, I think a lot of, he starts to carry himself like a pig. Like he starts to, sleep around with women and like flirt a lot. And he always mentions about like, oh, well, those laws don't matter to me because what are laws to a pig? So he's very living like, I'm living for myself at this point, because what else is there to do? He lives on an island alone. He never really hangs out with people during the day. He's very separate from people because he doesn't feel like he deserves to be around people. But
Yep.
I think another huge part of his survival guilt is the fact that he's probably been in love with Gina since he was a kid, because you get her flashback that he flew her around, and they're clearly like childhood friends. And it just gave me so much context in the movie to be like, wow, he has probably always loved her, but somewhere along the line, he lost her to one of his friends, and he was willing to let that go. You know, he sacrificed or whatever. And then after his friend dies, he's like, oh, how could I now
try to go get
Gina, even though they clearly have the back and forth, and she's been waiting for him. Like, that's the true love of her life. She was willing to marry other people, which, you know, shows that you can't have more than one love, but like, that's her main man.
Yes, for sure. And like the whole concept of her having that bet with herself, right? When Curtis comes to visit her in the garden, and she's like, I had a bet with myself saying that the person that was going to visit me in this garden was going to be the one I would fall in love with. And when she says it at first, I'm like, so is it not Curtis? Like I know he's trespassing like a usual American, but let's just be honest. He's
going on
right
land
there.
That's not his, but you know, whatever.
So I'm like, he's right there.
Yeah.
And so she's like, but he's never come to visit me once. He always flies the opposite direction, or he never once noticed or whatever. And then obviously Curtis and Marco have that final like fist fight, which I thought was cool. I want to get to that whole like final like dogfight scene a lot, but when they have that fist fight at the end, and Curtis tells him like, she's been waiting for you this whole time. She's in love with you. Like,
he turns all red.
He turns all red. Really cute. And then he refuses to continue to talk to her. I mean, until like it's kind of implied at the end that he visited her in the garden, according to like Fio's like ending monologue narration.
Right. It's definitely like hinted that, you know, she's like, oh, and as for, you know, Gina, I'm going to keep that a secret, basically, on like who she ended up with. There's a part of me that doesn't think that they're together. I would love them to be together because they both deserve happiness. Like, healing is about realizing that, like, at the end of the day, in the middle of war, you really have no control over if you live or die. It is a natural instinct to protect yourself. Like, yes, some people are selfless, and that's beautiful, and they fought for their country and doodly-doo, but he was out there, he was fighting, and he basically got unconscious. So it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, he has been needing this time to heal, and I hope that through that healing, he's able to be with her.
Yep.
But they may have just stayed friends the rest of their life. Like that.
Yeah.
That might be enough for them. I don't know. I love and hate that they kind of kept it ambiguous, and I'm like, oh, I have to wonder forever.
Because, like, I mean, within the context of Marco's personality, it would make sense they wouldn't be together. Because at the time when he takes Fio back to Gina's plane, and Gina was like, "What are you doing? Like, I'm right here. What's the holdup?" And he's like, "Take her somewhere safe. I'm leaving." And she calls him a jerk, and he's like, "Sorry, I'm out of here." Well, I mean, granted, you know, if he tries to fly with Gina, then he risks getting her in trouble, because out of nowhere we realize that she's also an informant.
Spy.
She's a spy, which I thought was super cool.
Yeah. He also speaks highly of spies, and that's why he thinks he could never be one, because he probably knows that she's an informant.
Yep. It's so good. Their dynamic is great.
Maybe I'll move it to a 3. I don't know.
You know, considering how you felt about
once we get
this
to that
one
part.
thing. Yes, once we get to that one part. I think, you know, one thing I will say though, as far as a knock on this one, is I didn't really like the soundtrack as much as the other ones so far.
It is,
and not that
lacking
it wasn't
in the soundtrack department.
Not that it wasn't bad. It just was a little more simple than the other ones. Like, it still fit the theme. It still had like the same. It still did a good job of like artistically matching the area, and you're gonna get me every time with that fucking Italian guitar, bro. You're gonna get me every time. Right. When they had the scenes with the Wind Rises. And the song with the Italian guitar when Caproni was on screen. Yeah. they do the same thing with Porco Rosso here, and I'm like, you're gonna get me every time.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
this one just didn't. I don't know. This one just didn't really do it as much as other ones have in the past. It's not to say it was a bad soundtrack. It just didn't really connect with me like the other ones did.
Yeah, it didn't give me the oomph. Like, it didn't make me emotionally attached to the movie, which maybe might also be a big thing. Like, we, Emily, our friend Emily, one of her biggest things that influences her score for movies is the score for movies. So if it doesn't like hit you, that's automatically like a lower score for her. I don't have as strong of a connection to the score, but I am musically inclined. So if you have a catchy tune or you have something that I'm going to get stuck in my head, I'm going to feel some type of way about the movie, you know? And this one just didn't hit as hard as any of the other Studio Ghibli movies I've seen so far. Cause like, even the ones that aren't meant to hurt you, like Totoro or Ponyo, those songs will stay in your head and you will catch yourself humming them. Whereas like in The Wind Rises, I'm going to hear that soundtrack and go into a puddle of tears. So if this soundtrack starts playing, I'll be like, okay.
Yeah. Also, I think that this one, outside of The Wind Rises, I think this one is probably the most adult movie he's made so far.
Yeah, I can see that.
And it's funny. Like I was looking at like some research stuff for this episode, and it says that this movie specifically is one that Miyazaki like regrets making because he's like, oh, animation should be for kids. I feel like this movie isn't necessarily for kids, so I can't really say that this is like my best work.
How funny!
And I'm like, yes, because I don't think this is like a movie that kids could like sit there and watch and be okay with. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. I think me as a 10-year-old would have liked this movie. Like I wouldn't have been able to dig super deep into like the metaphorical stuff, but like cool, pig-headed, suave main character shoots down is a bounty hunter that shoots down the sea pirates in his cool red plane. I can get behind that as a 10-year-old. You see what I'm saying?
It's so funny because I didn't see that quote. What I saw from Miyazaki was him talking about that he didn't think that children were going to understand and that he couldn't capture the boy audience like he thought he was going to, because he does play with gender roles a lot in this movie. And he's like, oh, maybe that was like too far. But again, this is another one of those Studio Ghibli movies that came over here, and Disney, at least John Lasseter, was on like as he was mentioned. So I'm assuming that Disney got their foot in somewhere. Andre would know. Unfortunately, this is not my shtick.
Zoe would know for sure.
Zoe would know. Hashtag Zoe would know. But it could have been because like the way that it was produced over here, or maybe marketed over here, they thought was going to be better for young boys. But really, as much as I hate it, as much as I hate the way that they themed it, this is really geared towards like girl power. I just wish they had kind of said it a little better. But this is a girl powered movie in the sense that during every war, what happens? Men have to go out and fight, and women are typically the ones that end up staying back, and they're the ones that end up working in the factories, building the machinery, making the pieces, like, that whole like Rosie the Riveter that came from the world wars, needing, women to stand up and be like, hey, it's your turn now to do something, big, even though we were already doing many things, but that was kind of the vibe. And you see that a lot with the Italian family where Fio is from, huge Italian family. I loved seeing like, those are this is my sister-in-law and her kids and her nieces and the cousins and the viejas and the like the family, the nonas, actually in Italian I think it's nonna. It's, which I loved. I was like, see, all the women stay behind, but they are hard workers. They are building the plane, they're making your lunch, they're setting the table, they're cleaning the studio space, like I did love that.
I think it was a cool point to make, considering like the time period. Obviously, like it very much matched the time period we were in when in terms of like the world wars and how and women's role in the world war time period.
Yes.
And I think it was very funny how they set that up and how and Marco's like approach mentally to a woman, let alone a child like Theo working on his plane. And I think that it's, I think, you're not, here's the thing, Marco's portrayed like a pig.
Yeah.
And like there are a lot of quotes in the movie that go to show like the kind of person that he thinks that he is. Okay. And so like when he says something like, oh, like if you have a woman working on my plane, I'm just going to take my money elsewhere. Right. That's a more pig-headed way of thinking. And so like it makes sense for him to say that. Right. I think that, and at first when I was watching it and he said it, I was like, damn, like you're a way nicer of a person than that. Like there's no way. But then I'm like, oh, well, he's portrayed as a pig. He's portrayed as like a bad person. And even like stuff where like, he says a quote in there where he's like, all middle-aged men are bad people. And I'm like, you're 36, by the way. I think that's what he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be like 35 plus. Yeah. It's like, so I could, and the older middle-aged men are portrayed as pigs. I think like the pig metaphor comes full circle in a lot of ways.
It does. And they keep trying to trick him. They keep trying to trick us the entire movie. Like, is he good? Yeah. Is he bad? Is he like chaotic, neutral? Because in the very beginning of the movie, someone's like, "Hey, they're gonna take this plane. You gotta help, or this boat, whatever." And he's like, "Nah, I don't want to do it." And they're like, "Oh, there are schoolgirls." And my first thought was,
"Dude, oh my god,
girls!" And I'm like, "Oh my god, this man as a pedophile, like da 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 da, like what is he saying? Easy on the young ones." And I was like, "Oh my god, it's starting." And then it was little chiquiticas, like it was actual little girls. Yes. But typically, a group of girls, you would think, "Oh my god, they're gonna be afraid of the pirates." No, they were like, okay, we're going on a trip. And then they got up on the area where they're literally shooting Porco down. And they're like, man, you kind of suck. And I was like, little girl, you tell the pirates.
The sidebar on these sea pirates. I love them because from the very beginning, because they were like,
from the get,
we have to grab all 15 because they're going to be alone without their friends. And I go, wait, they have a conscience? What are we doing? Like, so like they have some kind of weird honor code. Yes. And like when they're like handing the girls down, and like each one is like, are you guys sea pirates stealing something? Yes, we are. And it's like, you guys don't bathe much, do you? Oh, you noticed. I was like,
it's so cute.
It's so cute.
They do go by a moral code. It was giving, in Pirates of the Caribbean, the two pirates, that there's like a short one and a tall one that keeps losing his eye. That when he, what's her name in the movie? Oh my god, Kiara? No, I can't remember.
Zoe would know. Every Taylor episode,
we keep saying
everything we don't know something.
Brother,
it's just gonna be a Zoe would know.
I have the memory of a goldfish. I just finished the movie this morning. I know, against my code, but I knew I wasn't going to cry during this one. Anyway, like when they're like, oh, I request parlay, and they're like, parlay, and then they decide not to kill her, and she gets to talk to the captain. They kind of had that moral code too, because Theo brings it up later that she's like, you should be proud. You're sea pirates. You're seaplane fighters. And that is something you should be proud of. And it's like, okay, they do run by a code that they do believe in. So these guys are good guys. They're just broke because war takes a lot of money from the people.
Yes, war takes money from people. They have to make repairs on their ship, so all of them are in debt, and they have to it's just a lot of I think, and so you have to resort to
thievery.
Oh,
it's crazy.
You have to resort to crime. Yeah, impoverished people have to resort to crime. It's crazy how that works.
And it's not because they want to, and they're bad people.
It's like they're correlated. How about that?
What? Oh how do we connect these two things? This is very topical. It's very topical. I'd rather be a pig than a fascist. Well, who said that, bro?
Who said that?
Who's here in the room?
I think that's like the quote of the.
It is the quote of the movie.
That's the quote of the movie,
right?
And I think it's, you know, you kind of think about where Italy was in time in between World War I, World War II. Yep. If my American education system is going to help me in this situation, has not failed me. I believe Mussolini was in power at this time.
They mention Mussolini several times in the film.
And so his dictatorship and his fascism with the secret police and with not Gestapo, because that's German.
But I know what you mean. I can't remember
what I'm talking about. It was the secret police, but I don't know what they were called at the time. American education system will give me the ballpark. It'll get me in the ballpark, but not actually
right
the right area I need it.
Listen, sometimes we need a little more time to research because it's been a hot minute. It's been a hot minute, and the two of us are not the historians of the group.
Not even close. I can do a quick little. Hey, I got my master's because I was really good at researching, not because I just had knowledge up here. It's
right. Yeah, I'm good at looking up what I need.
Right, exactly.
Except not now.
Yeah, I can look up stuff and put it into a nice little thesis paper for you. But other than that, I ain't got it
before AI. Before
AI too. Yeah, I got my master's before AI. So
yes, actually, really quick, like side rant about AI. So there was a study done by a college recently on students who wrote their papers with the help of AI and without the help of AI, and they had scans done on their brains. I don't know if you saw this.
I saw this, yes.
It was, I think, over 60% of the people who used AI to write their essays. Number one, all of the essays felt similar because obviously it's all from the same AI brain. Yeah. So it's all pulling from the same. It sounded similar. There was no individuality. There weren't any deep cuts. But the students themselves could not recall any of the information because they had a chance to read over before they turned it in. And there was an 80% with the people who did write their own essays to be able to recall most of the things that they wrote and give back. And I'm like, oh. And then later that day that I saw that report, I saw someone officially asking to marry their ChatGPT, and the ChatGPT said, yes, I'll marry you. And the man was already married to a human wife. And I'm like, we are going down a path. We are going down a path we can never come back from.
So good.
We are cooked in a society.
Part of me feels like this is like a ripple effect of COVID, where like we were all just inside and like losing our minds for a while, for a few years, for like a year and a half.
I just think the Matrix is waking up, dude. I think we've been out for a long time.
I just think it's
conspiracy.
It's nuts. Like, you're gaining. We're going so off topic, but like you're gaining.
Here we are, ADHD.
Or you're seeking like love and validation from a computer program, essentially, from an artificial intelligence chatbot.
And this would be so different if you like. Maybe you were really alone.
Did we not watch Ex Machina? Have we not watched that movie? Watch one movie, please.
That's so
Watch
true.
one movie. Oh my God. I'm spitting everywhere.
Watch
one movie.
Watch one movie. We have been warned 1,000 times. We have been warned. But the thing is, we're warned 1,000 times and people are still doing these things, right? Like Jurassic Park was like, hey, maybe don't try to bring back dinosaurs. And now, I think it was like last year, they're like, we're going to try to start by bringing back a woolly mammoth and be successful. And I'm like, hey, woolly mammoth, 2 steps away from prehistoric beings. I don't know about you. I love a T-Rex. I don't want to meet one.
Yes.
I really like living. I have enough problems right now in the year 2025. Let's not meet a T-Rex.
Yes.
So turning back around to Porco Rosso in some way. I don't really have a connector here, but
it's just a little toast right here. We're here.
Just a rant. I think that now is a good time to get started on our rant about Theo because, and this is what I'm going to start with.
Okay.
Sometimes the lines are there. The lines are written for the movie to be read a certain way.
Yes.
But because voice actors and directors have free will, a line that could sound totally cool one way can turn into a disaster.
Yes.
I'm going to give you an example of the actual line from the actual movie.
Yep.
And I know that you know this, but Porco Rosso at one moment tells her, I don't want a plane, whatever, and she goes, in the movie, this is how she says it. She goes, is it because I'm young and a woman? I get it. And she just sounds so defeated, but also so very like, I am a girl and I am young. And she does end up turning this around. Is this another girling
situation you're going to give us again?
This is literally girling it. Part 2, we're girling it again. But if that line had been said, oh, is it because I'm a girl and I'm young? Is that why? I get it, but is that why? First of all, have you met an Italian woman?
Yes,
I have. I have never met any of them to be subservient. They will feed you. They will feed you and they will take care of you. They are very nurturing people. But they are not going to put their head down. They're going to be like, you're talking to me?
Yeah.
I will put a bar of soap in your mouth. And what I wanted from her was to be that way. To be like, oh, it's because I'm young and a woman? And then go, oh, that's what I thought. Thanks for believing in me. I am going to go build your plane. Because he does realize in 2 seconds, oh, yeah, I was young when I first started flying planes.
Yeah.
What's going to stop me from letting her do it? And he does let her do it. If she had just delivered that line differently and every line after,
it would have made
it would have been a much better movie. I actually probably would have rated it closer to a 4.
Yeah. And I'll say this. In my Letterboxd review, I said I both love and hate, all caps, hate how they wrote Theo in this movie.
Yeah.
Because
I was reading her lines
like
from
that.
The actual script online.
Yes.
I was like, I know we could do more.
Because there's that part. And then it's like, I like how she's written in that regard where she's like, she basically tricks Porco Rosso into saying like,
yes,
I'm good enough regardless of my age, right? She goes,
correct.
Oh, like they said, when did you start, flying planes and being really good at what you're doing? He goes, oh, I was like 17. She's like, oh, I'm 17 right now. Yes. And he's like, and I was like, oh, that's a great, I was like, oh, she walked him into that one. I was like, that was great. That was awesome.
Which shows that she's smart. She's written to be sassy and smart. Why are we speaking her?
I kind of want to watch it in Japanese now and kind of see how she delivers that line.
I fully agree. I fully agree. And this is why sometimes I'm not a dub hater, but maybe I'm a little bit. Because sometimes the direction in Japanese is given differently. And they I don't know how she delivers it. Maybe she delivers it the same. I don't think so, though. I don't think she
Bella
delivers
agrees with you back there.
Bella, she's freaking out as a strong, independent little dog. Because, every Hispanic has a crusty white dog. And she's crusty today.
Jesus.
That is a stereotype that is 100% true. Almost every Hispanic has owned a crusty white dog. I love her. She's beautiful and perfect.
Oh, man. That's so funny.
Jolie's going to listen to this and be like, what did you say about my dog? No, es mi culpa.
Hi, Jolie. We don't mean anything harm about your dog.
Hi, Jolie. I love her.
We don't mean any harm. Okay, real quick, sidebar, because I want to come back to like the family of Italians. I think one of the funniest parts of, and we can get back to Theo in a second. I just wanted to make sure this was on air before we moved on.
Yeah.
When they're praying, and Porco's about to eat before he prays. Again, another like pig situation, right?
Yeah.
And obviously the Italians are very, like, as their culture, they're very religious, right? And so
I think they're primarily Catholic as like a nation. Yeah.
And so he's praying, Piccolo's praying, and he's like, and Lord forgive us for building fighter planes with the hands of women. Amen.
I know.
So funny.
It was crazy. So misogyny really knows no bounds. It's one of the. This is how I really tried, because I also like that character. I like the little money grubby man.
Yes.
Because you can tell. I mean, as the movie goes by, he made everything really expensive, but it's because of the pride in his workmanship. Mm-hmm. He always compliments the women in his family, being like, no, they do a good job. And the reason why he charges Porco so much is because he's like, I need to be able to pay them well because we haven't had a good job in a while. So he's not a grubby little money hungry man. He's like, I'm gonna make sure not only my family's fed, but their families and their families' families, because in my head, I don't think they were actually all related. I am taking it kind of like how I call all of my like primos and primas. I'm like, oh, that's your family that you've known for a really long time.
Yeah.
But they're not actually related by blood.
That's a minority thing. It's a big black thing. It is a minority
thing. It is like, that's his community. And his community happens to be mostly women because their men are gone from that particular village, and they have to be able to feed their families. Like, they're bringing home the bacon. But ching. So I'm like, okay, like, clearly he's saying one thing with his mouth, like insulting these women and their craftsmanship constantly, and in the same breath he's going, they do a good job. In fact, they're the best at what they do. Duality.
I didn't take it like that though. I took it as like we are using, like, in the context of like the time period, right? When it comes to how men view women as delicate and dainty and need to be protected, and that kind of stuff. I think that's the context he was giving for that, where he's like, I forgive me, God, for having all of these delicate women work on a plane to go kill somebody.
That take. I do like that take. Yes, I do like that take. I was just seeing it more as like him going like, God, I have women working, and that's kind of crazy.
He's like, why am I having women build a plane to go kill somebody? That's why I interpreted it the question. I thought it was so funny.
Dude, my ears were just up this whole movie. Like, I was just listening and like, I'm sorry. Sometimes I can be hot-headed very few times. I feel like I am a very steady person when it comes to like interacting with real life people. Mm-hmm. But when it's a movie, I'm like, I'm being forced to watch this media, and I will have something to say about it, because me and my household, just like, what are you talking about? My abuela would never. But yeah, okay. I thought it was really funny that like one of the nonas was like, okay, I want to go next. Like, can he say that he also abducted me next? Like, the women in that family are crazy, and I love them. Yeah,
they also protected Porco Rosso too, with like obviously the time period that they're in. You know what I'm saying? The secret police are investigating, and they're treating Porco Rosso as AWOL, and they're like, I thought they were like, oh, we have an alibi for when you escaped. We're just going to say that you kidnapped Theo and you took her with you, so that way we don't get in trouble, and then Theo doesn't get in trouble for building her plane. Right. You can
and we could potentially keep helping you in the future.
Exactly. And so I think that was a good idea for them. So, returning back to Theo, okay? Yeah. One of the issues, or like it's the biggest glaring issue for me, is how can you write a character and have this girl power focused like section of the movie, but then also in the same breath, like, write her so like in the tone of like being a very like, not promiscuous, but like a weird, like have this weird romance, like this underlying weird romance with Porco Rosso.
It's a weird sexualization of the character.
Yes, that's what I was getting at, because like, and flashback to our Castle in the Sky episode. Yeah. When we talked about like, funny enough, the burly pirate people that, what I'm saying, the big bold hulking men that are also children in the mind.
Because here we go again.
It's the same thing with the sea pirates in this one, where they just, for some reason, those kind of people are just really overtly attracted to young girls. And it's like, and even like Curtis as an American, I'm like, brother, you were trying to talk to Gina not too long ago. Why? What is the
Gina? What is the deal? A woman amongst women, and this is a baby girl.
Yes.
Hello.
And the problem is, it's not like, it's like weird, because the movie draws lines, like Porco Rosso draws lines in the sand with her, and then he doesn't at the same time. Yes. But I will say, well, he does, and then like, they write Theo to like cross those lines all the time.
Correct.
You see what I'm saying? Like here's what really got me was when obviously like the weird like sexualization of Fio, when like where Marco like talks about her butt, and when she's like talking about the extra gun.
Yeah,
I thought that was super weird.
It was super weird.
Even before that, where like Piccolo is like just casually like making the notes on his ledger, it was like stay away from her, and I'm like, well, why was that even a thought that crossed your mind in the first place?
Well, so yes, that is crazy that he had to say that, but I actually did appreciate that because I think it is a big responsibility for people to keep their friends in check, and unfortunately, because he knows that, you know, Marco is a pig, he's like, hey, that's my niece. Don't do anything. You shouldn't have to say that to your friends. But if you feel like someone's going to act up a certain way, maybe you do tell your friends and you keep them accountable.
Yes.
But in the beginning, like, Marco, when he first meets her, does go, oh, what does he say about her? Like, oh, she does make me feel
no, he basically says that she's like just like a spitfire, like she's wild, she's unpredictable, you can't really like pin her down or something like that.
I have to like look at the line. It'll come to me later. But yeah, the entire time he like keeps making it very clear, like, I'm an adult and you're a child, and I don't like you like that. But then there are other moments of him mentioning later without her, like, oh, I don't have another gun in here because of Fio's big butt. Hey, maybe don't talk about her butt. And maybe we leave it alone forever.
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah.
But it is true. Like when they get to Marco's little island, Marco Island.
LOL.
And everyone like, you know, gangs up on them. They're like, whoa, she's a pilot or she's an engineer, but she's so pretty. They say like she's pretty, like that's surrounding voices, and it is the same vibe as Castle in the Sky. And I'm like, maybe I don't even know how old she's supposed to be in this movie.
17.
She's got 17.
Because she mentions when she's talking to Marco, 15,
but yeah,
she was like,
you're right.
What age did you start flying planes and being whatever? And he's like, I was 17. She goes, well, I'm 17.
Right.
So I mean,
is it from Family Guy that the clip goes, I like how you're basically 18. She goes, actually, I turned 18 next month. I like how you're 18. And it's like, oh my Lord. The line is crazy. It's we can't be like this as a society. Please. It's
because legally 18-year-old, right? If she's 17, which is illegal, right? Legally, even if she's 18, morally, it's really bad.
Wrong.
What are we talking about?
Because we're gonna and I knew we were gonna end up like talking about this in this moment. What does a 17, almost 18-year-old have truly in common with a 35 plus man? It's crazy. I know I'm about to go off topic, but I also just finished watching Materialist this past week. And one of the things...
Was that movie good?
The Pedro Pascal movie. It was good. I did enjoy it. I have my qualms with it. But one of the things in the movie is as Dakota's character is interviewing these men, all of them are in their 30s and 40s, and they're going, well, make sure that she's no older than like 25. 25 is like pushing it. Like they say those types of lines in the movies, and she's like, I know really wonderful 30-year-olds that would be great for you. And he was like, whoa, what do you take me for? And I'm like, we must we as a society, we have to leave this thought process behind. It's crazy. So it's just, she's a part of that kind of world where like all these men want her. She's literally a prize to be won, which is such a
in and of itself crazy. And okay, and also here's my thing, right?
Makes me so tired.
Why did you write Fio to be a headstrong and independent woman,
right?
Who's also very smart, to then just forego every fucking red flag about Porco Rosso, about the bet, and about
men in
Curtis.
general. Yeah.
How the fuck do you do that? Because I'm literally screaming at the screen.
Yeah.
Or Marco goes, "Hey, I'm not a good person."
Yep.
And you're gonna have bullets flying at your head, right?
Yep.
There's all these other things that he lists off, and she goes, "I don't care. I'm gonna fly with you." Are you serious?
Yep.
I'm like, I agree with Marco, bro. Don't get on the fucking plane with me.
Right.
What are we doing?
And she is useful. Like, she does help.
Yeah.
But the way that the lines are made around that conversation, if they had been said differently or maybe delivered a little differently, like, who's the guy who voices Marco is Beetlejuice?
Michael Keaton.
Yeah, Michael Keaton. And maybe if he had said them a different way, I
don't know.
Or
I don't think it would have made much of a difference, to be honest with you.
This is why we have to see it in Japanese, because I need to see the actual subtitles, not them trying to match the mouth. Maybe he said something different in that moment. I don't know. Maybe we're jumping the gun, but clearly we're not jumping the gun too much because it is a theme of the movie. Yeah. Now here's the other thing. When she does get put up for the bet, and she does, stand her ground and go,
she initiates in her own right, which I think is so dumb.
Yeah.
But it's like oh, I knew you would win situation. Get the fuck. Sorry,
I'm not. No, you're fine.
So angry. Get the fuck out of here, dude.
It's one of those things where there is a whole stigma about girls being the prize to be won, and when women carry themselves like that, you end up hurting yourself more than helping yourself. And she realizes it too, which is what I was about to mention, so I'm glad Taylor, same wavelength. When she finishes that and all of the pirates leave and she's talking to Porco, she starts getting the shivers and the realization that, oh my God, if you do lose, I'm about to be taken to America, away from my family, away from building planes, with a man I don't know, and then I'm also leaving my family in debt because he won't be paying the bills in that case. And then se pone media en cuera in front of this man and jumps into the water. And I'm like, the reality set in that you can't just trust all men like that. And then you get, mind you, the cover-ups back then were much different. It's not like she was technically in a bra and underwear, but it looks like a tank top and shorts. Mm-hmm. But I'm like, you're a 17-year-old girl. There's a 35-year-old man. I don't care if that man is kind of like your uncle, but you also treat him sexually, so we're in a really weird space. And then you get into the, what are we doing? And I know culturally it's different.
I don't care. Culturally, I don't care.
But my mama would have popped my front two teeth out. Oh my God.
Are we, bro? I don't get it. It's like, how do you write her like this?
And then also so backwards.
That at the same time, so backwards at the same time. Because if she was as smart, right? If she was as smart as you write her to be, she wouldn't be as lax and as loose around Marco anyways.
Right.
If you're trying to write her like a strong, headstrong woman that's supposed to show how strong kids and young women are, you can't have one at the same. You can't have one and the other at the same time. You can't do that.
Listen, the duality of man is crazy, but I want to bring up from Kiki's Delivery Service that when Miyazaki said, I don't know how to write girls, but he loves having girls as main characters, protagonists, all that jazz. I would like to know who helped write Theo, because I feel like he had a vision, but then he still passed the baton to somebody who he believed was going to make her relatable to a general audience and maybe make her more real. I don't know who did that exactly, and maybe he has a hard time doing that. He's explained he only had boys, he was an only boy, it's kind of when a man tries to write a woman situation, which is something that we see all the time, in a lot of of books that are geared towards women, but then we're like, we would never say and or do that.
Yes.
Sometimes we just kind of need the help. I would love to know who was the main script writer for her, because I feel like this could have gone a very different way. And look, I know that we hate / love a lot on Fio, but truly the rest of the movie is so good. But she's such a big part of the movie.
Except for the ending part, which pissed me off. Kayla, I almost did not finish the end of the movie. Yeah. I didn't get when that last. Okay, so I'm gonna explain it to the audience. When Marco is going through that whole dream sequence, or not dream sequence, but that flashback where he's explaining how he became a pig, or his curse, and what happened to him, essentially, right? Fio goes, "Oh, I heard of a story where if somebody's cursed to be an animal, you can kiss them and they'll go back to being human." Okay? Pissed me off when I heard it. To which Marco replies and says, "You're a child. We shouldn't be doing that." Right? Before she goes to bed, she kisses him on the cheek. Marco gets a little nervous. I was like, I'm upset, but the line's been drawn. It's not that bad.
Right.
Okay? Now, ending of the movie, Marco picks Fio up, puts her in Gina's plane. They're about to fly off. Fio, I love how you're looking right now. Fio gets up and out of the plane and decides to kiss Marco before the plane takes off.
In front of his Gina, wife.
In front of Gina, which is also equally as crazy.
Yeah.
And then, as Curtis is trying to talk to Marco, lo and behold, guess what happens? He's no longer a fucking pig.
Yep.
What the capital F fuck are we talking about? What are we doing? What are we doing? Dude, oh my god. I'm getting angry all over again.
Right.
Oh my god.
Right. Yeah.
That right there.
Right.
That right there is why I gave it a 4 and not a 5. Because that's insane. And also, you couldn't have had Gina be the one to do it? She's
for all
the
of
one
us,
that,
please.
Oh god, she's the one that's in love with him anyways. What are we doing?
And he's in love with her. But clearly he also likes Fio a little bit, and that's a child. It's crazy because
I'm getting upset all over again.
I totally understand. There were so many good moments in those end scenes, like the fact that they revealed that he never shoots the pilots because
I didn't want to talk about that, but I didn't want to talk about that. But
I love that at the end of the day they tired themselves out and went out into a fist fight match, which is what I think when we think about war, why do we involve other people? Why don't we just get the two people who are having a hissy fit and put them in a room and make them duke it out? Why don't we do that?
I think we should. Just run the fade real quick and just call it a day. Listen,
stop involving everybody else in your problems. Do it for yourselves.
Squabble up.
Please I'm sick and tired of everybody being dragged into everybody else's problems. This is not the way we're supposed to be. So I appreciated that. I love that no one helped either of them. It was very we're sticking by the code. This is a one-on-one y'all thing. But I agree with you that was crazy. But it does show that Gina is definitely, that girl is a girl's girl, and she's also supportive of not the kiss. I'm not saying that part's right, but the fact that even though she's been in love with Marco for years and she saw this happen, she still decides to take this girl to safety, and they stay friends for years.
Yeah.
That's a girl's girl. That's someone who goes, she's young, she doesn't know, it's fine.
But at what cost, dude? What are we talking about?
The cost is large, but... But I love Gina Gina is what I'm trying to say. Like, at the end of the day, I'm a Gina stan. Not many people can pull off baby blue eyeshadow and baby pink lipstick at the same time, okay? Like, that's a woman. That's a crazy combo.
That's
she
so
looks great.
So
she can do it. She can do it. I'm so proud of her.
Oh my god, dude.
But yeah, Fio, she's a child. She made a child.
She's a child, but they wrote her so bad. Like, I get you. I wrote that in my notes too. Like, oh, like she's a child. She doesn't really understand the severity of the situation. She doesn't really grasp the concept, and because of her, how naive she is. I think you did. Yeah, you muted yourself.
I'm here going, yeah. Oh, and the baby's barking.
Bella's going crazy.
I don't even know what I clicked to accidentally mute myself.
I think when you hit spacebar on Riverside, it just mutes you completely. So you have to keep hitting space. You have to hold spacebar to like keep talking, which is so weird.
Oh, that is weird.
Yeah, but it's, dude. I don't want to talk about it anymore. I want to let's talk about the final fight between Curtis and Marco.
Yeah.
Granted, the stakes.
Bella's really into this final fight.
Yeah,
I'm so
really
sorry for our listeners.
Jolie, what's up with your dog, dude?
Jolie, what? Hold on 1 second. Let me just try to
Oh, it's funny.
It's hard being a mother.
She just muted herself. I'm gonna when I make this into the video, I was gonna like have it be your camera angle and you just on mute yelling at Bella. I'm just gonna keep it like that. Oh man.
You know, girl. No. Also, I know this is super off topic, but so I've been having to walk Bella, and she is a pretty princess. She is a miniature poodle, the girliest type of dog you can think of. When I walk her, oh my Lord, Lanta, please. When I walk her and she's done walking, what she's decided, she's done walking, she starts going up behind me and putting her feet up for me to pick her up. And this morning when I walked her, we were only walking for 2 minutes before she did that. And I was like, absolutely not. Get your 2-pound butt walking in these streets. You got to pee. And she did it the whole time. And I think she's pissed that I'm talking about her on the internet for the world to hear. But I'm calling you out. It is exactly and right.
That might be the clip you put on your Instagram right there. That's what it is. That's the one right there. Okay. Granted, the wager is a big issue that we have with the fight. However, outside of that, I thought the fight was great. You know what I'm saying? Like,
awesome.
Curtis, being the American that he is,
has a gun.
And I like how they talk shit about Americans in this movie. It's very funny.
It is very funny.
Being the American that Curtis is, he decides to, he realizes that Marco's stalling him out. So he tries to like involve everybody else. I was like, as long as you win, you don't care who dies. Typical American.
Right.
And so like that part was cool. And then you get to the point where you mentioned it, where Marco's fighting style now is more pacifistic in its approach, where it's like, I don't want to kill this man, even though in these dogfights it's kill or be killed. Do a multitude of things, but all I'm going to do is shoot his engine and maybe a wing down. That way he just lands in the water, and that way he doesn't die. And I think, and like obviously, Bella, I know, I'm spitting right now, right? And so in that regard, it's like it shows how Fio was also saying that he's also a good person.
Yes.
And I think it's a situation, bringing it back to the metaphor about survivor's guilt, is where you bear the brunt of being the lone survivor, and a lot of it's self-inflicted, because you yourself might be a good person, and you just like, God might have just been like, hey, it's not your time. It was theirs, but not yours.
Yep.
But you don't have to bear the brunt of that. Like, you can still live a good life. And that's what Marco's approach to everything is, where it's like, I'm just going to live how I want to live. And I don't want to kill anybody anymore. And I think that was such a cool addition to the story for that fight.
Right. And I think that we also kind of hear that from the weapons makers when they're talking about like being a bounty hunter and being an arms dealer, basically. They're like, necessarily what we do isn't a bad thing. We're kind of on both sides. Bounty hunters hunt for both sides. Arms dealers, they're just whoever's buying my stuff, buying my stuff.
Right.
It is the idea that the job you're doing or the item you're selling isn't necessarily the evil. It is what you do with it.
Yeah, guns don't kill people, people kill people.
Correct.
Essentially, yeah.
Which is the theme that also was kind of floating around during The Wind Rises. It's planes don't kill people, warplanes don't kill people, but people kill people. And I know we keep talking about The Wind Rises, but I want to tie it back together to the fact that Miyazaki made Porco Rosso in 1992. Shout out my birth year that I always wear on my necklace. And then when was The Wind Rises released?
Zoe would know, but I'm going to look it up real quick.
Look it up real quick. But the fact that The Wind Rises mentions that an artist makes art for 10 years, and then after that, it's all the same work.
2014.
2014. This is his art. This is his passion. He repeats the same things over and over again, and that's why we see so many ties throughout his work. And as we've been going through this series, we just get to take a look at his life and go, Miyazaki, what's important to you? And these continue to be the things that are important to him, the things that he feels like he has to share with the world, the items that he wants to keep like throwing in your face. And a lot of it is he lets us choose what we believe as art is, right? Like art is subjective, where it's like you, or what is it? Subjective, objective? Art is subjective, I believe, is where everyone can make their own opinion about it, and they can, take away what they want. So even though we can clearly see what side he's on, he's like, at the end of the day, it's up to you to choose what you think is important about this. And I just think that's so cool. Like hearing the line from The Wind Rises and then jumping to this, I'm like, oh yeah, his art we're always talking about the same things.
Yeah, it's just, it's great how he, incorporates that into his film and stuff like that. And it's cool, I think, in a way, us jumping between release date periods with these movies.
Yes.
I think would have given us a better perspective than we would have had we watched it all in chronological order.
I agree.
I think. Because then we can tie movies together in different ways than we would have watching it the other way around. But yeah, I think it's good. I think that's a good way to end it, because this movie would have been perfect for me, because I think it's not. I think it's. So I thought it's a great movie.
Yeah.
Obviously, it didn't give me the same emotional feeling. Like The Wind Rises has definitely risen into one of my favorite movies of all time. Just straight away, my favorite movies of all time. And even though two movies I could rate a 5 for two movies, I could definitely feel strongly about one more so than the other one. I just think that the way Porco Rosso was paced was really well, because imagine if he would have followed that 15-minute rule and got shot out of the sky 15 minutes before the end of the movie. Think about that.
Right.
Think about him meeting Fio and Piccolo earlier in the movie, and then him getting shot down by Curtis with 20 minutes left in the movie, and then the last 20 minutes is him fixing the plane with the power of women, and then fighting Curtis at the end of the movie, and then winning, and then the movie just ends.
Right. The pacing of this is really good. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I see what you're saying. I'm picking up what you're putting down.
Okay. So yeah, I think it's paced well. The message is great. I think survivor's guilt is a cool concept to think about and focus on, especially within the context of war.
Yep.
And yeah, I think and then like Marco as a main character is really good. I like him a lot.
Yep.
It's just how they wrote Fio that just
really hurts, considering that she's such a movement in the movie.
Yes. Like she moves the plot forward a lot.
She moves the plot forward a lot, and she deserved better.
Yes. She deserved to be written better, for sure.
Much like Anna de Armas in Ballerina. I'm not
Girling
it.
Girling it. Electric
Girling
Boogaloo.
it part 2.
Electric
Please.
Boogaloo.
Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So that's probably everything we can cover for this movie. I think we're good there.
We popped off.
We did. Zoe, if you're listening, I hope Zoe didn't listen to this before watching Porco Rosso. I don't want to.
He already watched. He rated it.
He watched it. Oh, I didn't even see how. What did he rate it? What did he?
Hold on.
Oh God.
Hold on. Everybody's messaging me. He rated the movie. Where is he? Hold on, because I think if I click this, can't I see who else already? Yeah, he gave it a 3.5.
Okay, so not that far off.
Pretty
from
close.
me.
Pretty close to you.
Did he say anything in his review?
He didn't write anything.
Oh,
or at
God.
least, yeah, he didn't write anything.
That's not good.
Well, he may not have had time.
May
to
not
write
have had
something,
time.
Which
That's
means,
fair.
oh, you know what? Actually, he did say that he wanted to talk about this in the next episode. So he's probably hiding his thoughts because he's going to share them in the next episode. Yeah.
Is that going to be the one we're all in person? Is that next Sunday?
No. That's still a few weeks from now.
Okay, I'm about to say.
Because he'll be with us next week.
Okay, the 29th, because I'll be with y'all on the 6th.
Yeah, I think the one that we're going to all talk about together is Graveyard of the Fireflies.
I think so. Because, no, I think... Because Spirited Away is next week. And then the 6th would be The Boy and the Heron, wouldn't it?
Oh! You're right. This is after the series is completely done.
Uh-huh.
Okay, everyone. Okay, so it's a little surprise. Stay tuned. Yep. We are going to be tying the bow on this series with Graveyard of the Fireflies because it wasn't originally in our list, but after seeing The Wind Rises and the visceral reaction that it took from me, we're like, wouldn't it be so hee-hee-ha-ha funny if we totally ruined Kayla's day?
And made her watch it before we recorded another episode.
Made her watch before we record so that I'm not going to be able to get through it. And that's fine. Everything's going to be fine. And,
it's gonna be a new series we were doing. It's not gonna be like a full episode series all the way through. It's gonna be a series of ones that we kind of sprinkle in. It's gonna be Kayla's Crying Corner. I have already picked out that Zoe coined that. I can't take that one. Zoe coined that one from last week.
That's so good.
And it's just with the little time we have left, I'll just kind of explain. I think that's gonna be Grave of the Fireflies is the first one on the list. Yeah. I think there are other anime movies that I think you need to watch right before recording that I think would give us some good content. I think another one is one that I saw a TikTok on that it's been on my list to watch, and it's I Want to Eat Your Pancreas. I don't know if you've seen it.
I've read the manga, and because I have a friend who's a type 1 diabetic, I don't know if I'm going to survive the movie. I thought I did cry during the book, so he let me borrow it.
I saw a scene from that movie that popped up on my TikTok feed, and I go, "Oh my God!" It's like this is gonna be great. And then a silent voice, which I think is another one.
Oh, that one's so good. Yes, I have. It's so good.
But
I can always do a rewatch. I can be hurt again.
Be on the lookout for Kayla's Crying Corner in the future. We have as I said, we have Spirited Away next week, which the Miyazaki's big one.
Oh, that's my heart.
And then we have his most recent, which is The Boy and the Heron. And I think that's going to kind of wrap it up. We might do we might argue a little bit and have an episode on a tier list on where we rank each Miyazaki movie.
Whoa!
We could fight on that one.
We can
fight about that one. And because I know this one specifically.
I'm not allowing this to be towards the top. I'm so sorry to tell you. This is not going up. If I don't know what the ranking is going to be, but it can be mid. I will give it to you mid. But if oh my god, if you try to put Porco Rosso above Spirited Away, when you get down here,
no way. There's no way. There's no way. No way. No way. No way. No way.
I will.
I wouldn't even dream of that. No way.
I will actually go bald from stress. I will lose all my hair. There'll be nothing left. I will be so angry.
No way. There's no way.
Because I know
I could do it for the meme though. I could try to argue it for the meme.
No. Because we have to be real. We have to be real. But there are people who argue that Spirited Away is not the best Miyazaki movie. To which I say how and where and why. But I get it. Listen, if it makes me basic to have that one, call me basic.
I haven't seen it in a long time, and The Wind Rises is at this point has taken the top spot for me.
I understand that, and I love them both. They'll probably be on the same level for me because I love them both for very different reasons, but they both have a very high place in my heart.
Yeah.
So we shall see. We shall see.
Yes, we shall see.
Unless we have to rank them 1 through 10, in which case, if there can't be, or 1 through whatever number, if they can't share a spot, and we have to rank them and not, that's where it will get violent.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's what we should do.
That's what we should do.
Yeah, and you're like, exactly, thank you for the idea.
Yeah.
Take a melatonin before I do that episode. Just peace.
To set out.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's gonna be so funny. Okay. That's been everything from I've been Taylor, aka Nostalgia. As told by Zoe, we miss you, buddy. K likes everything. We'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Bye.